So today I'm hiking on Panther Creek Falls Trail, and this trail is located about halfway between Toccoa, Georgia, and Clayton, Georgia, and Turnersville, Georgia. And this trail is 7 miles long. It's 3.5 miles there, 3.5 miles back. And I've never been here before, so we'll see what we find. It's a very peaceful hike. I've only seen a couple of people the whole way so far. The whole way you're by the stream, which you can hear flowing. One of the coolest things I've found on the trail so far is there's a lot of rock outcroppings, making it perfect for if it starts to rain on your hike and you need to get out of the rain real quick. You have plenty of rock outcroppings that you can go underneath, such as this one. There's a lot of graffiti on the walls. Haley Lee, Matt, Morgan and Christine. But other than that, it's actually pretty cool. Though you may not want to sit down and camp for long, because it looks like the water actually gets in here, as in flows. Otherwise, this is a nice place to hang out if it's a hot day. Another thing that's really nice about this trail is that there are plenty of spots where there's extra side trails where you can hike down to the river, because you're always about 50 to 100 feet above the river, but there's plenty of trails that go to the river, and there's a lot of flat areas where people end up camping. So there are a ton of side trails. A lot of them look like actual trails. This is the actual trail. This is a side trail. The way to distinguish whether you're on a side trail or on the actual trail is to look for markers. If you've gone about 1,000 feet or so and you haven't seen one of these green markers, then you're on the wrong trail. So I'm about a mile and a half into my hike, and the trail has finally come down to the water's level. I'm actually standing on a rock in the middle of the river, and my, is it pretty. See, there's a bridge up ahead. This is a great trail if you're the explorer type who like to go and explore side trails or just hike for the fun of it. But if you're going on a date somewhere and you want to hold hands and walk with your date side by side, this is not a trail you want to use. A lot of parts of it are very narrow, and you often have to stop and move to the side into the brush in order to let other people pass. So it's not an easy trail to hike if you're wanting to go on a date and hold hands and all that stuff. Taking one of the side trails, I find a deep, almost pool-like area because the river is so slow moving here. And you got a rock shelf over there that goes into the deep end. It's actually really nice for a swimming hole on a hot day if you're coming out here hiking, or just a place to relax. Set up camp on the beach here. Enjoy yourself. You can hear the rapids up here. Very beautiful area. Again. Very beautiful trail. A key thing to remember when hiking is if you're on a trail and you see something like at the river or somewhere off trail that you want to go investigate and see, more than likely other people have done the same thing and there's already a trail to it, like to here. Oftentimes down by the river you'll see remnants of what people leave. Sometimes those remnants is not always trash and should be left alone. Though this is a great trail for hiking, if you bring kids you might want to hold onto their hand tightly in some parts, because sometimes you only have this thin wire. And I've even come across some parts of the trail that are even steeper than that and the farther drop off, but they don't have the railing type thing system. So if you bring kids, make sure you hold onto their hands. Like I said, sometimes the trail gets a bit confusing and you end up taking a side trail, like I just did. And this is where you end up. Sometimes side trails Not a bad thing to get lost on. This is one of those areas where you just decide to stay off trail, because sometimes being off trail is better than being on trail. I mean, look at this. I know I said earlier that most time when you see something cool and you want to find a way to get there, there's usually a trail. If you want to get here, there isn't a trail. Or if you want to get here, there also is not a trail. Sometimes when you're hiking, you find weird little things like this little pool in a rock puddle. A rock hole, not puddle. And you see a toad with a toad. It's all in the crevice of this rock. Now when you're taking a longer hike, such as the one, Panther Creek, you want to make sure you bring plenty of water and food, because you're going to get hungry. Definitely you're going to get thirsty, but you're going to definitely get hungry also. Most people don't think of that when they're hiking. If you have a high metabolism like me, I burn off a meal every 3 hours. This makes you burn it off even quicker. So I'm going to need to eat something at least every hour. And for a normal person hiking, that should be about the going rate. You should probably eat a granola bar or some beef jerky or granola or an orange about every hour while hiking. Bring water even if you don't think you need it. Like today, it's a nice, partially sunny, 62 degrees. It's not bad. But when you're hiking, you're going to start sweating. And when you start sweating, the water loss of your body goes up exponentially. So the need for water will also go up exponentially. Simple mathematics. Sometimes while you're hiking, if you walk at a nice, steady, faster pace, people in front of you, aka this older couple, probably in their early 40s, that are ahead of me, I keep catching up to them and they keep jogging ahead. It's like a race to them or something. I don't know. It's great. It makes me feel like, I don't know, like a slasher from a slasher movie, like Michael Myers from Halloween. Because all I'm doing is walking and they're running, and yet I keep catching up to them. It's great. Also, one of the nicer things about this trail is along the creek banks. There's a lot of pre-made fire circles. So if you're looking for a place to camp for the night, or just to set up a camp for a little bit and roast some marshmallows or cook food, there's a lot of pre-made fire pits already for you, with usually some wood laying around them, so you don't have to do much in order to get a fire going. Panther Creek Trail, the Panther Creek Falls Trail, is very well worth the hike. Even though at first it starts off as you going under, I think it's 365, turns into 985, I'm not sure what it is up this far north. But you walk underneath this and you're like, it's gonna suck. But no, it turns into very pretty, as you saw. And so just don't lose hope when you're at the very beginning. This is the start of the trail. 3.5 miles to the falls, 8 miles to the dam. I need to do that sometime. So that's it for time later than today.